Okay, it is Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. We'll call a meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn.
Okay. Minutes and reports received and filed.
October 2020 clerk fees filed, recorder fees filed, and October 2020 auditor's report filed.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Got the drive-through health department drive-through flu clinic tomorrow, or no, that's today. Today's Wednesday. Confusing having the meeting today. Got the economic development transition meeting tomorrow. Cole County Communities meeting via Zoom tomorrow. Cole County Extension meeting tomorrow night. East Side Business Association Friday morning. Some kind of retirement breakfast Friday morning.
I think that's canceled.
And then the drive-through flu clinic is also on Saturday. And the Bicentennial Monument dedication, that is here on the courthouse steps, right?
Yes, at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, and you're buying?
Sure.
All right.
And we have the intersection closed off so we can socially distance.
That's all I got.
I don't have anything else.
Okay, I got a bicentennial meeting today at 3. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing KWAS on the bicentennial. And then Saturday morning, I get to speak to the Doctors of the American Revolution, and then rush back up here for the bicentennial ceremony at 1 p.m. Everybody come up and stand in the street. Okay. That's all we got. We're going to jump around, and we are going to do the retirement resolutions presented to Larry Benz and Larry Bishop. Although I really don't want to do this. If you would come forward. Okay. We'll start with Larry Benz. I'm not going to read this whole thing because you've got, whereas Larry Benz began his engineering career after graduating from the University of Missouri-Rolla in 1979, blah, blah. Whereas Larry and wife Carla together have 2 daughters, Amanda and Kimberly, 2 sons, Sean and Matthew, and 5 grandchildren. Whereas during retirement, Larry plans to spend time with family. We're not going to, okay. Now therefore be it resolved that the people of Cole County do hereby thank and commend Larry Benz for his years of faithful service and loyalty to the county. We also wish him the very best in retirement and many enjoyable years ahead, as we will truly miss you. We mean that. So,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
that is that. There's a,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, thank you, Larry.
Oh,
Well
yeah, you're first.
You got proof.
Look here, Sam. Sorry, like mom.
Can't suck my gut in this long.
Come on, Larry.
Okay,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Bishop, sir.
I got something there too, so don't run
And
off.
see, I do this with great reluctance as well. Whereas in July 1979, Larry Bishop began his career working for the Cole County Public Works Department. And whereas Larry has worked tirelessly in the Road and Bridge Department for numerous directors, and whereas, now therefore it be resolved that the people of Cole County do hereby thank and commend Larry Bishop for his years of faithful service and loyalty to the county. We also wish him the very best in retirement and many enjoyable years ahead, as we truly will miss you. And again, we truly
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. 2 of the longest relationships I've ever had.
yeah. Oh, Jeff.
All I got you was a laptop.
Both of them up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sheriff's got something too to try and embarrass you with.
And you even worked for the sheriff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of smiles.
Smile
Thank
with a
you,
tear.
Gary.
Took me a long time to find this animal control badge. So, if you didn't know, Larry worked as a reserve for us for I don't even know how many years. And I would like to be able to tell some stories, but some of the statute of limitations aren't up yet. But instead of getting him a plaque of something he would just hang on the wall, what we did was we had the 200th anniversary Bicentennial Cole County Sheriff's Department badge, and we're going to award this to Larry. It is the one and only that we have in our possession at this time. So we are going to award it.
Yeah, we were supposed to get.
As far as you know, you all are.
By budget time?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else want to say anything while we're here and embarrass them or whatever?
I'll say some things.
Okay.
Could be bad. No. I came to the county 15 years ago and coming from MoDOT and kind of at the time, kind of a shy guy and just, a little unsure of what I was getting into and just the role models these two have impressed upon me and just kind of led me to where I am today. And thankful the commission had enough faith in me to carry on the traditions that they've led us to where we are today with the whole county public works. So I really appreciate getting to know them personally, good friends, mentors, and excited for what we have going for the future for us based on the foundations they laid. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
I've always told people that the best compliment that a staff can give a manager is if and when he leaves, that nobody knows that there's been a change of the guard. I think Eric will be able to do that fine. That's what I've always strived for since I became director, is try and get everybody cross-trained to where someone that needs to be off for illness or vacation or whatever, the job continued on. So hopefully, I know it's a big change with experience walking out the door, but I think it's in good hands with Eric and Brian coming in. I wanted Eric to be able to have his own management team. And Larry and I made a promise years ago that when I got to be director, if I found another job, I had to take him along. And the same thing, if he found another job, he had to take me along. So I feel fortunate to be able to walk out the door at the same time with a true friend, not just a co-worker. I've never managed as a director. It's always been by committee. The three of us, and here recently pulled Cliff into it quite a bit. We've always made decisions together. Not saying we always agreed behind closed doors, but when we came out, we were all on agreement. These two guys, especially Larry, I told him a long time ago, I never wanted to be surrounded by yes men. I always wanted people to question what we were doing and to argue with me, behind closed doors.
And I told you that was good.
Well, Larry's been my right-hand man for 15 years. Eric's been my left-hand man. I couldn't ask for two better groups. And guys, we've got the best staff out there in the Cole County Public Works. When the tornado happened a couple of years ago, we had guys showing up and we didn't even have to call. So hopefully you'll be able to take care of them in the future as you've done for us, because they're good people. Proud to have worked with them. So, enough of the speeches.
We're gonna miss you both, so come back and visit every now and then.
So, we plan to come back and aggravate Debbie and Chelsea.
Anytime.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
bogus anytime after 5 o'clock.
We're gonna get out of here.
What?
Okay.
Why?
Changing the guard.
Oh, thank y'all for coming.
Okay.
Thanks for turning control over. Thanks for taking it, brother. I appreciate it.
Well, I just haven't told Eric yet.
Nothing. Don't you worry, you're pretty good.
I trust little you, John.
Kristen, do we want to do the CARES? You got them on?
They're on here.
Okay. We don't have that much on CARES, so why don't we just go
Yeah,
ahead?
if
and-
you want to go ahead and,
Yeah, let's, then we'll go back to the normal agenda.
Julie, you're up.
Does anybody need a copy?
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, so we'll get started. Wanted to just point your attention to the agenda. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on, and then I'll turn it over to Teresa as I go through the funding recommendations. You know, as we've been seeing really across the nation as it relates to the CARES Act funding, and you know, the timeline is quickly approaching, as towards the end of the year, 12/30 is the deadline. One of the things we wanted to point out is, I know that there's a lot of concern about when we spend and how we spend, and which is certainly prudent. But the other thing that we're seeing that we're wanting to be sure that you continue to keep top of mind is there are risks associated with not spending the money and not spending it in a timely manner. Just a couple of those things to think about will be as new as we expect after the election, kind of regardless of the result, that there will be another round of funding to the extent that people have spent their funds and shown that they can spend them quickly in a timely and prudent manner. That's going to bode well for those organizations and in this case, the county. Also just thinking through the costs related to spending at the end of the year. A couple of things I will be sending out by the end of the day, an accounting. We get our reports each Wednesday, just an accounting of where we are in terms of what we've spent and kind of based on current, the budget that was approved, how many hours are left between now and the end of the year to spend those funds. And also just thinking through if we do try to put, and this is not unique to Cole County, again, we're seeing this really across the board, is the later we wait into the end of the year, there's going to be a push to try to get things through, to potentially want to approve things that, may not be related. We want to be sure we're being methodical and taking that time. And so that's just going to be a consideration based on, realizing that, once we start bumping up against that deadline, there won't really be any movement. We can't move the deadline. Also, some of the guidance that we're seeing, and this is really just food for thought. We don't have to decide anything today. But there has been the administrative convenience that has been additional guidance provided by the federal OIG that public health and public safety employees can be presumed to be COVID related. And what that means is you don't have to go through the process of saying this is how much time they spent on COVID versus not. There's, and that can be your firefighters, it can be EMS, it can be police. So some of the, again, counties and cities and states that we're working with are taking that presumed approach because the administration and documentation is a lot less onerous, which will then free up your general fund. And so to the extent you might want to fund other items, that's going to be less restrictive because you're not going to have to go through the CARES Act. Also, the presumption does include anyone that was in the budget, so you also don't have that constraint. So, as you think through whether, you might think, well, gee, we should spend more time or spend more on the community rather than putting that, cost towards public health and public safety. But on the other side of that, it can free up money in your general fund that then would allow you, whether you do an application process, you just do an award, it just gives you a lot more flexibility. So if that's something that, you think that you might want to pursue, we can talk further about that. But again, just to give you some of that as an option. Also, as it relates to the reporting, we will need to provide all of the reporting. So to the extent that it goes later into the year, that reporting will get delayed. And so we just want to be sure that we let you know kind of what those various pros and cons are as you think through these last 60 days in terms of reporting. And then we'll also have a responsibility to monitor, or obviously is under the consideration that's what you had hired BKD to do. And so as part of that monitoring, if we spend those funds very much towards the end of the year, we will have to continue that monitoring into the beginning of next year, which obviously impacts cost and some of those things. So we just wanted to we're trying to let all of our clients know what those, considerations are so that you have those top of mind. We are making these recommendations for the processes that you have in place that, I know we've been going kind of month by month and changing each of our processes each month, but we're getting to the point we can't continue to shift those processes and still be able to get those funds spent. And we also don't want to confuse people with that process. So all of that to say is we feel like we've got a really good, strong process for phase 3, and we would recommend continuing that. We also, rather than trying to spend too much time worrying about, do we reallocate those funds? I'm going to just make an example. Let's say it was a school district and you might want to give more money to the schools than was previously allocated. You have the ability to use that contingency. So again, it's just going to be a little bit more time efficient as you need to, if you need to pull money out of the contingency to fund anything that's in excess of the allocation. Those would be options for you as well. So with that, I'm going to kind of stop, obviously let you ask questions and, address any other thoughts you might have.
So Health Department, EMS, Sheriff, that's changed. That guidance, there was some additional guidance that was provided in October, and I'll send that to you all, or Teresa will, just so that you have that. And again, it was really just a way to help the state and local governments, again, spend the money as quickly and efficiently as they could, knowing that it was really onerous to try to figure out what police officers might be working on COVID versus not. The presumption is that they're all impacted by COVID based on just the general work with the public. So. Okay. So you're saying probably by the end of November, first part of December, we need to have a lot of this allocated?
Yeah, we really do, because that will then allow us to kind of get everybody through the process, get the money spent so that it's we can get it reported on, the monitoring, and that was kind of always, I know the goal was kind of the end of November and first part of December. So that was just especially with the holidays coming, they're just all considerations. Any other questions?
No.
All right, then I'm gonna turn it over to you, Teresa.
Okay, we will jump into the funding recommendations for now then. If you looked at the updated one, we have an internal application for some iPads to track the juveniles during the COVID outbreak. I think this one was already looked at by Sam or somebody, so this one's kind of already gone through initial review with the commissioners, just need to get that final approval on that one.
That one was Michael's that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I move we approve D-08-01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next ones are the healthcare providers. Again, these are the same ones as before, just left them on there in case you wanted to approve additional funds towards them. We've taken out the amount that was approved and put that through to the approvals. This is what is remaining of those items. Nothing too much to report on this. I think we have all the invoices and things for the E1977, that's the St. Mary's. So they are pretty much good to go if you wanted to approve any more. But nothing really too much more to add on there. I'll keep moving down. Not-for-profit, no changes there. These are two not-for-profits that we've been going back and forth to try and get some more information on, and haven't really had a ton of luck on really lining out what exactly they're asking for. So we're still working to try and get a little bit more clarification on what exactly they are looking for. And then in the small business section, we did get a little clarification on the G08 on what they're wanting for that. So we are putting that one up for approval today. So this is kind of an education kind of type of business. So they're asking for some technology for online learning and then some money for the PPE that they are providing. I believe their staff on that one.
I'm good with that one.
Yep.
I move we approve G-08.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, and the last two on the small businesses, the first one, we, again, needed a little more clarification. It kind of looked like that was asking for about some loss of revenue, so we wanted some more clarification on what exactly they're asking for. And then on the G3575, half of that request was for PPE and sanitizing equipment, and the other half was for some revenue replacement. So I went back to them and asked them if they thought that they maybe had any more expenses. So they're looking into that right now. So I didn't want to bring that application forward just yet until I get a little bit more answers on that. So that's all we had for recommendations today. I will say that we did receive a number of applications on Friday and through the weekend that we're still reviewing. One of those is one of the school districts that we have been requesting from. So expect to see that one coming. With that application, that will put us over the total schools allocations. So that's kind of why, one of the reasons why Julie brought up the allocations and whether or not we wanted to reallocate money or just use the contingency money out of that. So when we bring that one up to you guys next week, you'll have to make that decision on that one. And then I also wanted to note that on the Jefferson City Public Schools, they did get that invoice for their first round of virtual instructions. We approved them, I believe it was 2 weeks ago now, for the 807, that maximum amount that they were allowed. That first round of invoicing, they were at 1.37 million. So they are requesting that if there are funds available, they would like to submit another application. So I haven't told them either way whether or not they can do that. So that's just something for you guys to consider as well as we're trying to get these the funds spent these last 60 days or so. So just wanted to bring that forward to you guys if they would be able to submit an additional application for any additional funding as far as that goes.
Do you know how much approximately that is?
how much additional it would be.
Uh-huh.
570,000, somewhere in that range. And that's money that is going out the door. I think they're gonna pay it next week or the week after, something like that.
You know, the whole concept of the other schools too.
Yeah. Well, I think when we did the schools, we really didn't know how it was gonna work or, so a lot has changed since we first gave that money to the schools.
Right, and yeah, and I know that it's gonna be a big expense for them, and there's been some guidance with some practical expedients as far as school districts go. Or administrative, whatever you call them in this regard. But that you can give up to $500 per student and not have much of a burden as far as that goes. And Julie might want to talk on this a little bit more. There is a little bit of some burden on us to make sure that they're getting $500 total for CRF money, for coronavirus relief fund money, and not getting money from other sources from that same pool of money. So that is something to consider there. We're not even close to that number for them. I think the number would be like about 4.5 million for them if you were going that far. But just another thing to keep in mind for that as well. I'll go ahead and jump to the reporting on the agenda items real quick. So the state was nice enough with all the election things to extend the reporting deadline for our October reporting to 11/20. That's from 11/9 to 11/20. So that was very, very helpful for everyone. So we'll be getting with Kristen and Debbie to see which of those subs they paid and which internal payments they've made and get that reporting done. So very happy to see that. Don't want to push that one if we don't have to. I think that's all I had. Julie, did you have anything else?
Yes, so I just wanted to kind of touch base with you all to see kind of what your appetite is for if there any additional funding for the school districts, or if that's something you want to kind of think about, and then when we come back Thursday, I guess not Thursday, that would be tomorrow, next Tuesday, if that's something you want to think about, because I think that would probably be the next topic for discussion that will come up.
So we're still sitting on about $5 million, right?
Exactly, yes.
So, I mean, I know Eugene, I mean, you got to look at all the school districts, but I know they've been doing virtual, and so, I think all of our school districts have been impacted, so.
Yeah, with this last application, the last of the public school districts will have put in an application for funds. So that one will be on the agenda next week to approve.
So all the public schools have received quite a bit of money. All the private schools have received relatively nothing, so, except for a few.
Yeah, a few on the private schools, but yeah, with the Catholic schools and the diocese issue there, it kind of got pulled back a bit.
And they're dealing with the same things that the public schools are, and seem to be getting by on no funding. So it's just where I'm at.
And then the other thing just to think about too, that we probably will bring forth again on Tuesday, is if there is any additional funding that you may want to consider for the testing and the healthcare providers. So if there's anything that you feel like you need more information for us to gather to help you think through that, we're happy to do that.
Anything else?
No,
That's all.
Go ahead.
That's all they have too.
Okay,
Okay, Julie, thanks. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I do have some subrecipient agreements that need to be signed.
Since today's Thursday.
And initially, we only had meetings scheduled until the 19th of November on this. So I guess we'll work around the budget and keep scheduling meetings.
Yeah, we need to make some decisions on, because if we're, I really don't want to give $5 million back to the federal government. I know we're gonna have some more internal requests coming through, but it's not gonna be anywhere near $5 million.
I guess I've not heard anything about any kind of extension on that too. I guess I should ask Julie that.
I'm not at the moment.
So that's kind of like the PPP loans. They modified them and they extended them and all kinds of stuff, so,
Okay, we'll try to get a couple more weeks.
you don't
in
want to
there.
bet on the come and then have to give it back though either, so.
I move
Get any
that,
more requests from the schools?
She said they got the one public school district. I'm sure we've been asking, and that's what they got in Friday or Saturday, so. There's only the 4.
Right, and they knew there was a pool of money, so they probably haven't been asking for any more, knowing
Right.
that it's already up, so
Some.
I guess it would be more based on their needs.
Right now, we did
So-
$100 per student. So whatever you might think
So
of.
that's all they've asked for.
Right.
Right.
So if they know there's more hanging out there and we know they have more needs, we can kind of adjust it on that then. We're gonna talk about that next week.
Okay.
To be
You guys good with signing these?
Yeah.
So I move that we sign the sub-recipient agreement with the city of Jefferson for $3,181.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then I move that we sign the sub-recipient agreement with the city of Jefferson for $834,039.70.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move that we sign the sub-recipient agreement with the city of Russellville.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I move that we sign the sub-recipient agreement with Cole County Public Water Supply District Number 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Green tabs, Sam.
okay.
The ones you signed. Green tabs.
That one doesn't have a green tab.
You don't have to do
We already got it.
Okay.
I thought you needed to sign one. No?
that. Didn't have a great time.
Anything else on the
We're
care?
going back to appointments by commission. or-
Yep, we're gonna go back to appointments by commission. Appointment of Shannon Cleathermos to Campo Technical Committee.
I move that we appoint Shannon Cleathermos to the Campo Technical Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appointment of Eric Landwehr to the Campo Board of Directors, Cole County Parks Committee.
Hold off on that next one.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that. And Cole County Planning Commission.
Okay, I move that we appoint Eric Landwehr to Campo Board of Directors, Cole County Parks, and Cole County Planning Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appointment of Brian Boyce to Cole County Parks Committee.
Second.
Was that a motion, Sam?
Sure, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
So trying to keep it moving. Go
Okay.
back to the TIF commission, and Kristen mentioned having somebody with our auditor's office on there. I don't think it's a bad idea, and she volunteered, so I thought it was a great idea. And Eric didn't fight it at all. So-
We don't meet that often.
All right, so I'll make a motion to appoint Kristen Barrows to the Jefferson City Tax Increment Financing Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Okay. We did the resolutions, any commission
We'll have to
comments?
change that paper, probably.
Bids and contracts, approval and signing of 2021 aerial photo flight quote.
Probably have to redo this thing on
Yeah,
Kristen, and we can sign it next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Fine.
bet you she'll have it for us before we're done with our meeting. Hey,
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, this is just the quote, this is so that, Kristen can get it on for next year's, on next year's budget. This is a new one, it is a little bit higher than the last one because Jefferson City wanted to add the North Jeff City part that's in Callaway, and they're gonna pay their portion of it, so, it basically works out to like $118 a square mile, so, I went ahead and added that, but we'll need to do a cooperative agreement so that they can pay for their part. Is that something?
Yeah. Cooperative agreement with the city to do,
To pay their portion of the imagery.
Yeah, I think we've already got an agreement, cooperative agreement for the whole thing, so then we'll just modify that. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So,
just needed the okay to get it rolling.
yeah.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
I move that we approve and sign the 2021 aerial photo flight quote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of grant documents for the sheriff's department.
So this is a grant from the Missouri Counterterrorism Officer Program. It's a grant for a NVT for $3,500. That's about it, really.
Just an application.
Yes.
Move that we sign the application for the equipment grant with State Homeland Security Program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, unfinished business. The only thing I've got, Patrick Kramer from CMPS sent over a certificate of substantial completion for the courthouse landscaping, and he asked that we sign it. It just says basically that Architects Alliance and CMPS and GBH say it's completed.
So they've inspected and everything's
Mhm.
fixed, and this isn't payment or anything?
No,
Just
this
talk
is-
about the liquidated
no.
damages?
No, this is just,
Just sign saying we agree they're done?
mm-hmm. I'll make a motion.
Make a motion, we sign the certificate of substantial completion for the Cole County Courthouse site improvements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. New business, accounts payable review.
I'd ask for approval of accounts payable pending review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We did the CARES Act. Second and final reading of budget adjustment number 21.
Yes, this is for $10,000. This is the Cole County Health Department, the WIC program grant brought in additional money, so I need this signed.
Move that we sign court order number 21.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second and final reading of budget adjustment number 22.
This is for $10,000 also, it's election, COVID response grant.
I move that we sign court order number 22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now the thing we've all been waiting for, Devnet discussion.
You gentlemen can give me just a couple of minutes, I've got some people coming over.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then why don't we, you got Jackie, let's do the assessor's office to present corrections.
That's coming over also.
That's coming over, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Didn't see that coming.
Okay. Oh, I'll just sign papers.
Is that the last thing we got on there then?
Yeah. Oh, I can do, I received a letter from DNR, from Chris Weberg, Director, Water Protection Program. Subject fiscal year 2021, intended use plan, drinking water state revolving fund loan program, and set aside programs. Anyway, you can have that for your.
I'll get the other stuff.
Did you give Christie a call to see if she
Here,
can do about 11 or something?
here.
It's 9:45, so surely this won't take about an hour.
And then this I have to scan over to CMPS.
Oh. Give it to Mr. Weaver.
And I'll give it to you and then give it,
You're not nice.
where's my badge?
These other ones are gonna be corrected then.
Okay.
Wheeler wants to appoint you to some type of marriage
Oh, I don't, let me have
commission.
all that, those appointments all haven't been signed yet.
Okay, that's.
Wants
Yeah,
to
but they
appoint you
haven't
to
been
some
signed
type
by,
of marriage commission.
Here's Jeff. Here's the new for Tiff.
Oh, okay.
So throw the other one away.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff hasn't signed that one.
Yeah, I haven't signed.
I'm
Yeah.
certified non-marriage counselor.
You're done.
We could just make it up.
Here's a new one to appoint
Kristen.
Kristen. Okay.
Right side of the paper, it's opener salt.
Hey Debbie, I think that's yours.
Okay, do you want to do,
This transfer.
Chris, do you want to do the assessor's office to present corrections first and then do DevNet, or?
That's fine,
Okay,
that's fine. Yeah, again, Jackie will have those, and she'll present them as soon as she gets here.
oh, okay, well
Who's
then.
here?
Oh, there you are, come on over. Be still asleep. But you get for staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching.
Okay, what are we doing first here?
You want the correction first?
Yeah, do the corrections first and then we will,
We had a lady who presented a fire report on her house, and we did the prorating for the home for the fire, so I have that here.
Okay,
So we've corrected her, or would, if you approve it, we'll correct her 2020 bill, and she's now torn down the house and does not have plans to rebuild.
okay.
that's prorated from the time of the fire, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we kept a copy of the fire report.
You guys want to see this?
No.
No, trust Jackie on it.
Yeah,
Yes, if we wanted to see it, I said, no, I'll trust
no, we
you.
trust you.
You got the fire.
Tom, Chris,
So the owners lives in Washington? but the-
Yes,
but
she
the-
was renting the house out.
I see. But, so all you have is just the parcel number?
That's all that we can put in there. It was on West Brazito Road,
I see. Okay.
11607,
Okay.
West Brazito.
Okay. I move that we approve and sign the corrections from the assessor's office.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we will do DevNet discussion. I know Jeff has been working on
Bombarded with
it.
emails.
Interesting reading. So basically, I just wanted them to come up here and explain what's still going on with it, what kind of issues we're still having, and we're still paying Clear Basin $3,000 a month, I think. So I kind of want to put a timeline on all this stuff so we can get things done, have it done. So I guess y'all brought a list of what all y'all got going on yet, open issues.
Yes. We can put in a single-family home as long as it's in a subdivision and not a group code, because we don't have land costs for group codes because they weren't converted. So if it's anything more than a one-story, we can't work on it because their system's not calculating for the story above the main level, and it can't pull comps for anything more than one story. And then we can't do anything in any subdivision outside pretty much the city limits, because the land cost won't work.
And we're working on getting the table right
Yeah.
now, because that was something that was not something that Dave felt like, I think that was, he could give to their basin, other than just saying it's a literal linear interpolation.
Hey, Lynn.
So it's a little bit more complex, I think, and all that, so. Anyway, we're working on the table and getting it done.
Yep. There are some parcels that did not come over. We've got open tickets for many of the items that I have presented. I have open tickets for, so it's just a matter of them working on them now and getting them done so we can move forward.
So other than the single story, we're still at a standstill.
As far as data entry, yes. We can't do any field review because we can't edit a sketch in our, well, first off, our sketches aren't even in there. They've redone them. It sounded like yesterday they thought they would have them put back in, and they have not done that yet. I checked with
They
Steve.
told you guys it would be potentially 1 to 2 weeks.
Yes, yep,
So we'll rerun that whole thing.
yep.
So-
And then we've got to test them to see if they're
Yeah.
correct again. So.
Why don't you give a quick rundown of your list that you still have open?
I have outbuildings, they're working on outbuildings and putting outbuildings to the correct tab. Some of them are on the commercial ag tab, some of them are on the residential tab. New construction and occupancy, they have a tab for new construction, they don't have anything for occupancy, which they're working on. There's exception reports, trying to get all of our stuff to match up to Marshall and Swift, so we'll have a report that we'll have to go in and touch, it sounds like a lot of parcels, and get them to cost up to Marshall and Swift. Sketches, which they're working on. The notes we have in our system, we're getting notes from the collector's office, we're getting our public notes and private notes, they're all over the place, so they're trying to map our different notes to the correct field. Land issues, that's ongoing. We've got from the GP codes to some residential acres came over as ag acres. There's just a lot of land issues we're working on. They're working on designing our PRC, which we don't have yet. Ag values have came over wrong on some of the parcels, so they're working on that. Paul issues, I just have Paul issues lumped together because I think he's got multiple
I think
issues.
we got most of his like the image stuff, a lot of that stuff got worked out.
Well, a lot of the stuff he did from late August till the final dump, it didn't convert over.
Okay.
So we've got, and I've sent emails on those parcels because now I'm trying to work the land and nothing came over on them. We have an open permit report that Tom and I will be able to query out our different permits that are open. If a parcel has 2 structures, they're gonna have to figure out how to get the system to prorate on the correct structure, which they're working on that. I think they've lumped that into occupancy as a whole. Editing a sketch that's already in, when we go out and do field review, we've already got the sketch in, and say somebody removes a deck, adds a larger deck. When we try to edit that, it's not costing the new deck. We can draw it in, but it doesn't cost it. So they're trying to work the system to where when we change something on the sketch, it calculates it. Because right now, the system would have us delete the whole sketch, start completely over, and then it's gonna cost it. So we just wanna be able to edit a pre-existing sketch. Apex is missing some of our definition drop-downs for garages, which they know about, and they're trying to add those in. Went over that. Sales letter, we don't have sales being able to print our sales in mass or even a system to run sales. So we went over last week how we wanted it to work, and they're working on trying to get that, but as of right now, we've not sent sales out since we've gone live, or since our last data dump. So around September 16th, I think, was the last time Paul did sales. So we're holding off on doing those until they even have a sales system. I got an email last night. We're trying to figure out how to add in new subdivisions with their base lot values. And it sounded, did you read that email? It sounds like they have an issue with it because we do it by subdivision and they do it by group code or neighborhood code. So we're gonna work with them on that, so that might slow down new subdivisions. The assessed value is not rounding, which they're working on. Our PRC does not print length by width or year built on outbuildings, so they're gonna try to change that.
That's a property record card, the PRC.
Yeah, that's what we take to the field to check buildings and get home information. Some of our influence factors on our land, well, all of the influence factors did not come over. So we've told them what they need to do and what they stand for, and they're supposed to change that. I already told you about the comp. Anything over a 1-story will not calculate. And then all the parcels that were missing in Devnet that Paul worked from the end of August to the final dump did not come over. That's what I have.
Do you gentlemen have any questions?
So they're aware of all this, and they're working with you to try to resolve it.
Yes. And apparently last week they're gonna ask every week what our top 5 priorities are on the list, and I think they're trying to hit those first, because up until today we were kind of at a whole standstill. We couldn't even enter 1-story homes. So they've kind of got some of that fixed, but it's kind of a hit and miss until they figure out some of the other issues, if we can do any of them. So
We have a conference call this afternoon also for update of how things are going.
So there's nothing on here that they said they're not gonna fix though, or they're not working on?
nothing that they're not aware of.
Okay, because when I've talked to them and when y'all were bringing the issues up, so, you know, we've got the contract they have to deliver on their end, and Stephen and Carolyn have been great to work with. They've got it set up to where you can do the help desk or the ticket, going through typical conversion issues, and they're addressing them and trying to resolve these things as we go, and pick the ones, like you said, at the top that are probably the ones that need to be addressed first. So I guess Paul was having some problems, but when they looked at him, it was just kind of a familiarity thing, that it was taking him longer to do stuff. So once he gets familiar with it, he's gonna be able to transfer stuff over a lot faster, and different things like adjustment factor and stuff, so.
Well, one of the big things was him not being able to see the deed images and that really held him up a lot too. And last week while they were here, I met with them and kind of showed them how the data needs to be, or that was actually a conference call with one of their database people. Showed them kind of how it needed to point, where it needs to point to and stuff, so they got that fixed. So I think that was one of his huge things that was kind of stressing him out.
Well, I'm trying to figure out some of the factoring things that Clear Basin had. We had no clue how they were doing the land increment stuff, and so that's kind of been resolved.
Well, it hasn't been resolved, and I'm in the process right now of trying to come up to make some tables,
So until that's done, any new homes that are in the group codes won't be finished, because we won't be able to do land cost on them. So those are on a hold, and then we'll have to figure out what his email this morning meant for the subdivision neighborhood codes.
Yeah, I think that'll be in the discussion this afternoon.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
So there's still some stuff we're hung up on that we can't move forward on, but there are tickets out there for them to work on them.
And some of that stuff, like the PRC, that's something that we knew was gonna be at the end of November, because that was the additional funds that we put to have that created. 'cause
No,
that
this,
did not come
that's
out.
printing in mass. That was the printing in
that's
mass.
a
This
different
is
thing?
just a
Oh,
whole,
okay.
this is just the PRC, like, once we finish a property, it tells us the bedroom count, all the home information on it. It tells us the value, and that's kind of our paper record showing
I was
us what
wondering
we've
what
done.
was on there.
Yeah, that's-
Okay, okay. I mean-
And we don't have that at all yet.
Okay.
I think he's kind of moved that to the bottom of the list with everything else that's on there.
Questions?
No, I did email Steve about trying to get a drop dead date so we can quit paying the extras for Clear Basin for the overlap. So I asked if a 3-month overlap would work, and he seemed to think that would probably work, but he's gonna kind of work on a definite date on that, so we'll try to get something on there. We'll have a drop dead date of when we're gonna shut them off or quit paying, however you wanna look at it, so.
We'll have to keep them as long enough to be able to verify that the information that we have is correct, which has been one of the issues. Tom, why don't you go ahead with your report on commercial?
Okay. I don't have quite the list that
Excuse
Jackie
me.
has on things that are just strictly commercial. Some of the things kind of flow over into both of them. You know, I've been submitting, like Jackie, tickets to the help desk, and then they get resolved. And some are still in the process. I think some are gonna take longer to resolve than others. But it's a pretty time-consuming venture. We scanned sketches and data cards on about 2,000 commercial parcels last year, and we know there's about 500 parcels that have sketches, but they did not enter the data, or the data didn't keep or something, so they're still working on that. So about a quarter of those commercial properties don't have the property-specific data entered into the system. But that's probably the main thing I'm looking at right now. There's some minor things to where they will adjust the system a little bit. But overall, just checking lists and spreadsheets is pretty time-consuming. And emails, we get a lot of emails. I think I had 9 emails this morning related to Devnet. You know, workload-wise, you know, I should be working on valuing new commercial construction for next year, and I'm not really even close to making a dent into that because we spend, you know, 80 or 90% of the day on Devnet. But, you know, it's a work in progress.
Any questions on that? Brian, did you review that email that I gave you that I got from Paul about the processes? And I think it's, Melissa touched on that. Is that whole issue, is that what she talked about and it's all resolved?
That's what she was talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I wanted to know. I got just a couple of things, and it's, first off, I'm gonna start with the RFP. One of the issues that we have is the first payment went out to Devnet in January 28th of 2018. And at that time, they were supposed to have a system ready to go, put it in place so we could reassess 19. We haven't been able to do that. Here we are in 2020, almost the end of 2020, and we still don't have a system. One of the items in the RFP said software must be the latest compliant, tested, released, and must be available to put into place and ready to use upon award of contract. Another item, which was and maybe Brian, you could tell me if the wording is correct here. It says the system should allow the option of real-time processing or batch processing. And what Jackie was talking about with the property record cards, those are what we send with the guys that go out in the field to review the properties. Jackie prints off an area or a township, and she might have anywhere from 100 to 1,500 property record cards in the stack. Right now, she has to do that one at a time. She can't do a batch process on that. Would that fall into that description?
I'm not sure what you're asking there. So,
The ability to print the property record cards in a batch or in a big.
That's what that PRC that is going to be.
I think that's
On
coming
the
at the
end of
end of
November.
November.
they're writing
Okay.
it now.
Yep.
Okay.
I think you
As
guys
an
just
additional
approved that a
module.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, as an additional module.
And let's see, just a couple more things real quick. Where are we at on a sales file?
We don't have one. That's been
Okay.
done. We just really touched on it when I asked for training on it last week because Paul was not gonna do it, so it was pushed on to me, so I asked him for training on it and they don't have it the way it needs to be done, so they're redoing the whole system to do it differently.
Item number 20 in the RFP, it says the system shall have a separate sales file capable of maintaining inventories of sold property at the time of sale with a document reference that may be different from the current valuation inventory. I'm not gonna go any more of that. The big issue I have, well, the two biggest, in 22 working days, Jackie and Tom and Paul have dealt with 320 emails back and forth with the people working at Devnet. They have work that needs to be done on a daily basis, and they're so busy doing the emails that work is not getting done. And we don't have enough staff to continue like this for very much longer, or we're gonna be so far behind that we'll be lucky to get 2021 reassessed. And that's a big issue. And we still have to be concerned about the accuracy of that. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, about the first payment went out to them January 28th of 2018. We're now in November of 2020, and we still don't have a system. The amounts that were paid out were for the complete system, personal property and CAMA. We're paying for Apex sketches, we're paying for Marshall and Swift commercial, and there was one other item, and we've been paying that since the first day, but we haven't had it and haven't had the use of it the whole time. So it would appear to me that we should have some type of credit with that company for things that we have been paying for that haven't been available to us. And I'll let you mull that over and decide that if you wish. To date, it looks like, excuse me, I need a little water. Since the January 24th, 2018 date, we've paid Devnet $209,361. And in the same time period, we've paid Clear Basin $115,338. So we've spent over $300,000 because we've had to have two systems this whole time. So I would think that would be something that should be taken into account, and the software company that is trying to get a system that works should have a credit for us because of the amounts that we've paid into. And like I said, I'll let you all discuss that and decide what you want on that. But that's about all I've got right now. Any questions?
So, you mentioned keeping Clear Basin 3 months. Is that a month already from go live, so 2 more months, or?
I'd have to check with Steve on that. He was trying to get a more definitive date, because I was trying to get something to push things along that way, because you know when you have a goal, then you push towards it, or a set date, you try to get things done by then, so.
Are you gonna, will you be following up to see if stuff's working before you just shut down the system?
mean, just shut it down and start from zero. I don't, we had these same problems when we went from, what do we have before? AS 400, I mean, we probably still have problems with that, but once we shut it down, we're still alive, we're still moving, so we're gonna have typical conversion issues. But I think if we have a set date on it, then we move towards that.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention, I just remembered. In the state of Missouri, you all decided that because of the difficulties with the bridge between Clear Basin and Devnet, that was the reason you decided to change the software. There are 4 other counties in the state of Missouri where the assessor's office uses Clear Basin and the collector's office uses Devnet, and they don't have bridge problems. I don't know why. I don't know why we did, but that's the case.
That wasn't the only reason we changed over, though. I mean, there was different reasons that we had one program that you all could use. I think it was gonna be less money. We tried the bridge for how long, and we never could get it work, so that's why we moved on to pick one of them and go with it.
Well, this is just my opinion, but it would indicate to me that the company that spent almost 4 years trying to get something to work might have been the problem at the bridge.
Clear Basin's been the problem?
No.
Oh, I
The
thought
company
they were the
that's
ones-
taken 4 years
I thought they were
to
the
try
ones
to get
trying to
this.
do this for 4 years, trying to build a bridge.
The bridge was up and running. The bridge is a two-way thing. It has to work with both Clear Basin and Devnet. Both of them
Two-way
have to work
thing,
together.
it's Devnet's problem?
I'm not saying all of it was.
That don't make
I'm
sense.
saying, okay, but like I said, we were supposed to have a camera product in January of 2018. Here it is November of 2020, and we still don't have that product. We're unable to do our jobs with that
We
product.
just went go live 2 months ago or less. So,
I know that, but the system was supposed to be up and ready to go when the contract was signed. That's what the RFP said. And from reading the RFP, my understanding is that the things in the RFP are all included in the contract unless there was a special exception made to that. Now, that's not, I'm not an expert on that. That would be Jill's area because it's contract law, and I'm not an expert on that. But from reading what's in the RFP, it says that if these items, they are to be included unless there's been a special agreement between the two parties to not do it.
I'd have to go back and look at that, why we didn't go live until when we went live. But I thought it was pushed off because of, you were wanting to push it off to a certain time to go live. So that was the date that was picked. We had trainings, we had y'all involved with stuff that you wanted into the programs. And so when it went live, a lot of it should have been addressed. So I'm not sure where it happened, but we've got, like I said, typical conversion issues.
But it should have been addressed before we went live. All those issues should have been addressed before we
So
went
what
live.
issues did you have before? I mean, I see all of these are 2 days ago, 14 hours ago, 9 days ago. There are a few of them that are 8 months ago, 7 months ago, 1 year ago. So there's 2 of those that are open that are over 3 months.
Do you have any
So-
further on that? On issues that we've had for,
We just gotta
Oh.
keep moving with it, Chris. I don't know. I've sat in meetings with it. That's why I wanted to bring it up here.
I understand and I appreciate that. And I'll give you my recommendation right now for the betterment of the county would be to buy them out of the contract and go back to Clear Basin. Because they worked, we knew they worked, it was a custom-built system for the assessor's office. And we just have to knuckle down on Clear Basin and Devnet to get them work together to make the bridge work. Because
All right.
it does work in 4 other counties in the state.
To use your argument against you, there's a lot of counties that have DevNet. So, and that works fine for them, so
And Devnet
we can make it work too.
DevNet is an inferior program to what we had. Like I said, we had a custom-built program that handled everything. DevNet is not a custom-built program. It's an out-of-the-box thing. And you have to adopt your
didn't talk-
processes to it.
It didn't talk to the collector's office, that there was no bridge at work there. There's many times people would have to walk back and forth to get things done. Here, now they should talk to each other if I'm not mistaken. So this should be a better product.
I can tell you from what I've seen and what they're doing, it's not as high a quality product. We had one of the best programs in the state of Missouri, and that came from the tax commission.
It's not necessarily gonna be custom, but I think it's still gonna be better.
I can promise you it's not gonna be better. You came over to the office, we entered your house into the system, and your house was, what, 140? And when it went from Clear Basin to Devnet, it went up about $40,000 to $60,000 increase.
The other system, but I also tell you your system's wrong right now. That's why I don't come in and complain. If I'm under assessed, I'm not gonna come in and complain because I'm not being assessed enough, so.
So you
if
think the higher number is
If
correct?
you wanna go there with it, I'll say yours is probably low, and the Marshall and Swift's was way high. And then when I talked to them about it, they said, well, we're gonna work on getting an adjustment factor in there because Marshall and Swift, you know, it doesn't fit. You don't have the same thing go across the, heck, even across the county, you got factors that are gonna be different.
And
Were you-
Devnet has said that stuff because
So-
there needs to be some ratio studies and the factor put in to bring this value closer to actual market here in our county.
So were you speaking about my house when you said that? Oh,
My
okay.
house.
I thought you said take your house, but,
No, take my
Okay.
house. Y'all took my house, you put it in there, it came up at 200 something, and everybody that would have it done, if it was 100% whatever of the factor, everybody'd be here, we'd have 30,000 people wanting a BOE request and appeal.
that's what's gonna happen
Right.
in the years to come.
If there's a factor in there and it says it's this factor, I couldn't have argued it, you know. Have you ever had anybody come here and argue because their house is under assessed or the property's under assessed?
Yes, twice.
Twice?
He wanted to qualify for some funding from the city, so he wanted the
Okay.
value increased, and it didn't get increased.
All right, well,
Well, I agree, this is taking too long, so we need to try to work it out. You know, you're saying 4 counties have Clear Basin. There's 114 counties, so there's 110 that don't have Clear Basin. And I know from what I hear, Sean Ardway in St. Louis County, it's working there, and that's a much, much bigger county, so.
But it's still not working there. And that was straight from Devnet. But it still was not working in St. Louis, they were still working on it. And Jefferson County is also doing some testing on it. And I can tell you, most of the counties have Vanguard, but it's a much more expensive program, and again, it's an out-of-the-box program.
All I can tell you, Chris, is that we're not going back to Clear Basin, so you're gonna have to get on board with DevNet and just move forward.
Okay, then I would let you know that you can probably count on a lot more appeals come Board of Equalization time. That's just gonna be a fact. You know, we've had the lowest number in the ratio studies, most accurate in the state, for quite a few years. And the closest that DevNet's come anywhere in the state was 14%, and we were at 4% or lower. So when those values start going out, I expect a lot more calls and a lot more work to deal with the appeals. I mean, we have been really good for the last several years. We have maybe 5 or 6 appeals. St. Louis County had something like 22,000. So, and I'm not saying that we're comparable, but I'm saying a lot of counties have a lot more appeals than what we do. And that's because we've been accurate and we've been
that's to
able
my
to
point, though, it's
defend
because you're
that.
under assessed.
Pardon?
Because you're probably under assessed.
That would show up on the ratio studies too, Jeff.
Where's the ratio study coming from? Where are you getting your
Missouri
sales
State
comps
Tax
from?
Commission.
Where's the sales comps coming from? When you have to have sales comps too?
Yeah, they take the sales here in Cole County, and then they compare that number to the number that we have on the books. And it shows a ratio of how high
They're
or
getting it
how
from the
low
Board of
we
Real
are.
Estate, or
From,
where they-
I'm sorry, what?
Where they get it from the Board of Real Estate, or where they get their
I
sales
couldn't
comps?
tell you for sure. Some
So
of it
do
they
they
get from
have real
us.
sales comps, or do they have real sales numbers, or,
You would have to talk to the tax commission about that,
well, I think they're wrong.
because I'm not privy to that information.
Because they're not that close.
So you're saying we're all wrong and everything should be raised?
Probably.
So is that what you're suggesting I do?
Anybody in here, go look at the value of your house, and if you can tell me your house is assessed at the right amount and not lower than what it probably should be, then let me know.
Would you sell your house for $140,000?
For 140? Hell no, it wouldn't. You tell me it's worth 160, I'm still not even gonna be able to argue with that. You tell me it's worth 200, I'm putting a for sale sign in the yard. But I doubt if I'd sell it for 160 either.
Okay, well, we need to try to get
Would
this.
you sell yours for what it's assessed at right now?
No, probably not. We're gonna die in our house.
Okay,
I'm not saying I want you to go raise everybody's property taxes, I'm just saying.
But if you're saying
You
that we're
can't
not
base it on
accurate,
BOE.
you're saying we're not accurate right now. So
Probably.
that would be the solution, even though the numbers from the tax commission are saying that we are accurate.
I don't know where they got their numbers from. I don't.
And I couldn't tell you either. I know they have a lot of appraisers on staff, and they probably do some of their own appraisal work and do the comparisons on that. But anyway, I put it in front of you, and you all decide what you want to do with it, and we'll just go from there.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
all.
All righty.
Did you sign this, Chris? You want a copy of that? Yeah. With you?
Okay. Did you call Christie? Is she?
Yeah, I texted her, said around 11 if she wants to come up,
Oh,
we should be done.
okay. So do we have anything else?
Mhm.
Oh,
Stand in recess till 11.
yeah.
You got something, Kristen?
Okay.
I move we stand in recess till 11 o'clock.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.